Meeting of the North End Waterfront Council to order. My name is Philip Frateroli. I'm the president. I'd like to remind everybody, as always, that Matt Conti from NorthEndWaterfront.com is videotaping the meeting. And we also have Jessica from Suffolk University who's doing a story on the recent crime in the North End, so she's also recording. So I'd like to do a roll call. Start that one.
David Marks. John Fredman.
Maria Lanza.
Tony Gelati.
Philip Frateroli.
And Devlin Tagliaferro.
Ryan Kenny.
Okay, now I'll call on John Fredman to read the meeting protocol.
The meeting will be conducted according to parliamentary rules. The president will have the final word on the conduct of the meeting, only in the event that the rest of the council reaches a tie. The president will recognize the speaker to make the presentation or statement, and then he will permit the council to ask questions. He will then open the floor to questions from the audience, and each member should introduce themselves by name and street address. No person will speak until they have been recognized by the president.
Thank you. Now for a report from local elected officials. So we're Nicole from the mayor's office.
Oh, hi, I just wanted to remind everyone that Boston Shines. Tony and I are working together to make it a successful Boston Shines. It's May 10th. I know some people don't like to sign up online, but Tony has been nice enough to go around with a hand sign-in sheet. So we're hoping that we get a lot of people. You have to sign up one way or another by the end of this month. Latest date, May 5th. I think that's the right date. So that way I have tools and supplies, so please sign up.
The flyers are at the top of all the tables if you want to just pass them down so that everybody remembers the date.
Thank you. Maria?
Hi everybody, Maria from Senator Petroselli's office. If you don't have any new announcements or updates, but need anything, you know where to find me.
I'd also like to recognize Joe Ruggiero from Suffolk University.
Hi folks, I'm Joe Ruggiero, Suffolk University Government and Community Affairs. I'll be at both this meeting and the Newnc meeting every month to hear any concerns with any of our students that live in the neighborhood. I also have business cards on me with an office phone and a cell phone that you can get at me 24/7 if you need me. And at the end of the meeting, I'll pass them.
Brave to put your cell phone.
Yeah.
And Kathy from Council Lamartina's office. Any updates?
No,
Okay.
just re-cleaning Boston Shines to Nicole do it.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry.
And this isn't on the agenda, but I just want to give a short president's report. There's a couple things going on right now. The first one is we made a new website, newncboston.org, and a feature of the new website is, as you can see up on the screen, which is another new feature, the screen. We have an addition to the website where you can go on and make comments on agenda items. This is a way to help the neighbors comment on what's going on our meetings, and we just wanted to make it a little bit easier for people to reach out to the members of the council. The next update, as some of you know, we reached out to the members of the North End Waterfront Residents Association to try to fix what we consider to be a big problem in the North End, the need for 3 neighborhood meetings. We put out a proposal on March 11th. They rejected it on March 12th. I went to their meeting on March 14th, and President Salini said that he would meet 3 members of Newnc and 3 members of NEWRA. And then on March 28th, they said that they would not do that. They would not participate in any sort of talks. So that's where that proposal stands now. We think it's pretty disappointing that members of a community organization won't even have a conversation, but they're a private organization. They're not public in any way, so they have the right to do whatever they want. So now to the regular committee reports. The Resident Parking Traffic Committee, Ryan Kenny.
No real updates, just the street sweepings and full effect. Just be mindful of your cars. And I actually walked by the softball field today, noticed a few of the cars that usually double park there were ticketed, so just also be mindful of that when you're parking.
Public Safety with David Marks.
Thank you. I have 4 items that I'd like to bring up. sure everyone has heard through the local news and Matt's NorthEndWaterfront.com website that the charges were dropped by the city of Boston against the Valentine's Day alleged sexual assault suspect. I guess the one lesson that can be learned from this is we must, when I say we, I mean just in general, specifically the police department, must stop a rush to judgment. And there's been a lot of talk online, especially on Matt's website, about the fact that there were conflicting eyewitness identifications. They arrested the suspect just based on the alleged victim's words alone. So, but it sounds like they did a very, very thorough investigation that ultimately led to dropping the charges. Looking at cell phone records, cell phone towers, et cetera, alibi. Secondly, this is also a recurring issue. I know this has been going on for many years. Dirty/used needles being found in various places around the North End. Matt was so kind on NorthEndWaterfront.com to recently repost an article from one of the officials at one of the health educators from the North End Waterfront Health Center on Hanover Street. Basically, it sounds like common sense, but still worth saying. Don't handle the needles on your own. Call the police, report it. You would hope that obviously it doesn't just get, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's a protocol. If
Oh.
you find a needle, don't touch it. You're
Don't touch
supposed to
it.
call the mayor's 24-hour hotline, and they'll send out an EMS supervisor who will then touch it.
Okay,
And dispose of it.
thank you, thank you.
Sorry.
Right. The third point I'd like to touch on is I attended this, and so did Phil. Stephen Pascantilli was there, Mayor Marty Walsh was there, Chris Herron's Addiction and Recovery Forum, which was held a couple Saturdays ago in the gymnasium here at the Nazaro Center. What a very, very intense, compelling story. He's had quite the life. Superstar basketball player, couple generations of stars at BMC Durfee High School in Fall River, Massachusetts. And then just many years of addiction after that. And here he is today, working with so many communities around the country, meeting with sports teams, and he's so active in the community. Please look up any information you can. Purple Project, Purple Project, I believe is what it's called. So that's something that he has spearheaded. Very inspirational talk. It was a pretty good turnout. There were a lot of younger people there. To be honest, I wish there were a few more, but they were really, really paying attention in particular. A lot of parents, I saw them, they looked like they were on this guy. So his words had quite a profound effect, and not just on me. Last but not least, there was a send-off for now Lieutenant, formerly Sergeant Lima. He has obviously been promoted to lieutenant position at the Boston Police Department headquarters. So I don't really think we'll be seeing him around here too much. I'm sure he'll stop by when he can. But it was a really nice send-off a couple weeks ago at a place near the Boston Garden. There was some singing and whatnot, personal stories. And Sergeant Lima, or now Lieutenant Lima, his replacement, so to speak, here in the sergeant position will be Sergeant Jin. And we have our new captain, Captain Fung. Next month's public safety meeting, to the best of my knowledge, will be the first meeting at which I believe both of them, if not just one of them, will attend. They did cancel this month's meeting because of everything being in flux and in transition. So, as always, with the exception of this month, first Thursday of the month, 6:30 p.m. in this room, monthly North End Public Safety meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Now, John Bergman from the Greenway Conservancy.
Is there a remote?
No, he'll
Well,
Joe will help you.
I'll be brief, but, so we had our, the monthly meeting last week. Right, so the carousel's open, I just put some of the hours up here, we're opened up, Memorial Day weekend, 11 to 9, Sundays until 7, it opens up a little bit longer during spring break, and then, it's pretty much after May 31st, or Memorial Day is when it opens full time. There's the ride information, the call is coming up, you can click everything. So that's Tuesday, May 13th. Jody Wolin, who's the Director of Development, can provide answers to any questions you may have, and also any sponsorship issues. Ticket information is available there. There's a couple projects that they wanted to highlight at the last meeting. One is One Congress, and that's the government center garage. There's a lot, I'm not gonna read off everything, we can put it up on the website after. But essentially, this is very far out. The first building won't even be completed for what they proposed, 4 to 5 years. But essentially, they want to eliminate the eastern portion of the garage, which is the one closest to the north end by the top of parcel 8, by the MBTA bus stop. And what that will do is eliminate half the spots. However, they say that half the spots that are currently occupied there, or that, I guess there's a little over 2,000 parking spots. At any time, not more than half have ever been occupied. This is during Bruins games, during Celtics games, so it's a big waste, and they want to eliminate those spots, make it a little bit more open and clean in terms of the eastern side, and also add some residences and buildings and things like that. One thing that I wanted to know is its impact. There's one of the buildings on the western portion will be over 500 feet tall, and how that would affect some shadowing and things like that in the north end. But according to their studies, it didn't appear to affect us too significantly, and they did note that they lowered the buildings. There's 6 on each parcel, 3 and 3, and they've lowered them all based upon the concerns of those west end residents and others throughout the city. So it seems as though it's they're pretty amenable to neighborhood concerns and willing to adapt. But again, this is very in the beginning stages, so we still have time to go. The other project, which is Radiant Boston, down and a little bit further down the Greenway, that's completely from completion. They're basically finished with it. This is on the left, of course, is what is there. It's almost like a pie wedge when you look at it. It seems to be pretty nice. It's all residences. They emphasized to the Greenway board that it's more like a hotel, but with the certain luxuries that we all find in a hotel also included in the residence. So there's a 24-hour concierge, there's a fitness center, things like that. Radiant Boston's their website. And then just a couple things that are going on. We've started the mobile eats, which are the food trucks. We have 30 vendors this year. We had 26 at the last meeting, so we're up to 30. That's pretty much it. They're capped. I provided RoseKennedyGreenway.org address for more information. You've seen the umbrellas that have been installed in our North End parks. I'm sorry, the park ranger program I skipped over, but they wanted to enact something like that just because I'm sure we've all noticed maybe some things happening in the Greenway and other parks that in general that aren't too savory. So they're trying to do a park ranger program to kind of combat that. This will begin in July. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the umbrellas have arrived, which is great. If anyone knows the brief history of the fountains in Parcel 8 or walk there, you'll notice it's always been leaking. In previous years, this has been not overlooked, but effectively decided to not kind of tackle it just due to its cost. But they felt that this year would be the time to do so, so that would be fixed. Parcel 10 improvements, they've focused on horticulture, so Parcel 8 would be the north side where the purple is, the other side going to the ramp to the highway there. They've gotten conservative, contractors' estimates, so they'll be looking at those as they focus on horticulture, but they assured us that the daffodils, which are beginning to bloom, will not be affected, so that's great. And then there's a volunteer coordinator that we've just hired. Her name is Keelan Purcell. She noted that the number of volunteers last year has increased by a few hundred as well as the hours, so they're looking to do that again. If you want to volunteer, there's a lot of companies that do so, there's individuals, but feel free to contact her. There's the website.
Thank you, John. Now, as most of you know, we're having our elections in May. To speak a little bit more about the timetable and the requirements, Maria Lanza, who's the chairman of the election committee.
So, so nomination papers will be available on April 25th. And you have to be 18 years or older and a North End resident. So at 10 o'clock, right here at the Nazaro Center, you can pick up papers. You need the minimum of 40 signatures, and they need to be returned by May 9th at 5 o'clock here at the Nazaro Center as well. On May 12th, at our May monthly meeting, we're going to have a candidates forum where all the candidates who turned in the correct amount of signatures will get to state why they want to be on the neighborhood council. And our election is May May 17th, sorry. May 17th from 10 to 2 here at the Nazaro. And you must be a North End resident to vote in the election. So bring a proof of residency, like an ID, anything like
You don't
that.
have to be registered to vote in the North End, but you have to be a resident, so even a utility bill with your name and a North End address, obviously, will suffice. Thank you, Maria. Another announcement, the Taste of the North End is May 2nd at the Staridi Rink. You can buy tickets at the tasteofthenorthend.org. It's an important organization that I'm a part of that raises money for all North End charities, including the Health Center, North End Against Drugs, North End Athletic Association, pretty much everybody. So it's a great way that the restaurant community gives back to the neighbors, and it's a important cause to support. So hope you buy tickets. I think up until Friday, the tickets are discounted, and then after Friday, the full $99. Up until that, I think they're like $69. But tasteofthenorthend.org. Okay, now George Mendoza, who's on the Elliott School Advisory Council, is going to make an announcement about the Elliott School.
Hello, how are you? I'm George Mendoza. Julia Mayer couldn't be here tonight, and so I'm going to be speaking on her behalf. As you guys know, I'm very much involved with the school. I love the Elliott School. I love our community. So my family and I have made a big effort to help the school and trying to contribute in whatever way we can to make things happen. Through the innovation program that the Elliott School has become, we have been exploring the ability of the school to extend its hours. We have applied for grants and talked to parents through the last family council meeting, and we're hoping to add 1 hour of school every day for 180 hours a year to be able to provide the children the additional things that Innovation School has an opportunity to provide. We have a little bit more flexibility with our schedule. We have a little bit more flexibility with what we can offer children, and we're hoping that this is going to be a way in which we can enrich their learning and add other programs that are going to be helpful. Again, like I said, the plan proposes to add 180 hours of school a year, which is 1 hour a day. The hours that the school will operate will be from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. These hours will allow students to receive additional benefits. For example, an extra 10 minutes a day of core academic subjects, one additional enrichment activity a week, and 4 additional periods a week that will be split between intervention. Children that are having problems with certain issues will have time to touch up with their teachers and work on those subjects. Acceleration, those students who are doing so well that can actually explore the subjects of classes that are ahead of them. And enrichment being the ability for the school to offer extracurricular activities like theater, music, art, and that sort of thing. The teachers, the principal, and the governing council have been very involved in engaging how this is going to work, and we've collected all sorts of data, and we've had help from the National Center for Time and Learning, and we feel that it will be a great addition to all the good work that the school has done. And Tracy and the school governing council wanted us to present it to the community once again, so there's more awareness. And since our meetings are videotaped, it's a good venue to reach every household. So again, I think it's the fruits of all the hard work that the school has done. Tracy has been an exceptional principal, and I always like to remind people that 7 years ago, the Elliott School was in the list of schools to be closed. We are lucky enough to be able to prevent that through the academic achievements of the school, and now we're looking at the expansion of the Elliott into hopefully 3 campuses, as we saw in the presentation last week about the project on North End and Salem. So we're very excited about it. We feel that it's going to really help us continue to improve our community, and anybody who has any comments or likes to participate, just reach out to Tracy at the Elliott School, and we'll be happy to take your ideas. So thank you. That's pretty much it. The report for the Elliott School Innovation School. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for council? What about the audience, about this new change in program to school? Okay.
The word on the street is every parent you meet that has children in the school, they're very happy with the way things are going. It's really, I've been here for 30 years, my younger siblings went there, and it's really, we're moving forward, and it's a good thing, and it's gonna be really good for the neighborhood. It's gonna help us hold on to families. It's a great investment in the future of the North End, so we're all very happy. The teachers love it. Yeah.
I went to the presentation. It's great. There's great plans for this. The school, the city's going to be putting a lot of money into the 3-campus plan, 3-building campus, and it's really exciting, especially as like a young North Ender who hopes to have a child in the LA school. All right. So now for the rest of the agenda, the first item is Ferraris / Urban Cantina.
Board, Dan Toscano, attorney. I represent Frank Charay. My left, for the record, my law office is located at 62B Commercial Wharf East, Boston, Mass. 02110 617 646 4428. We're here respectfully requesting your support to transfer a beer and wine with cordials license that was formerly located to Ferrara's Kitchen and Bar to Frank Charay Urban Cantina, Inc. Frank Charay recently purchased the business from the prior owner, Vincent Ferrara Jr., and he's been in there since April 1 operating. Nothing is changing with the license. The license is going to remain the same. Closing hours are going to remain the same. Opening 8 a.m. to midnight. That was the closing hour that's on the license. Floor plan is to remain the same. For those who are not familiar with it, it's located on Salem Street. There's upstairs and downstairs dining, probably about 1,700 square feet of space, maybe 900 square feet on the first floor, kitchen on the first floor, seating downstairs in the basement with storage. Nothing is changing. Seating is approximately 76 people. That's not changing. The only thing that will change is the signage, which will remain very similar to what's there now, but the name will be changed to Urban Cantina. There'll be a banner that's coming down, which is there now, different name. The lettering on the wall will change, but that's the style of the signage. We have our hearing scheduled for Wednesday at 10 a.m. at Boston Licensing Board. Frank Charay is the manager of the establishment. For those who don't know Frank Charay, he's been in the North End 27 years. He's the owner and operator of Going Bananas. Been in this North End all this time as a good neighbor. He's proved to be a valuable asset to this community. He's a good business owner, good neighbor, keeps his property clean, runs a successful business. He's hoping to change the particular location, changing the theme from an Italian theme to, this is going to be Urban Canteen, it's going to be a Mexican flair. However, there is going to be some American items on the menu. There's going to be the size of Mexican flair menu. There's also going to be burgers, chicken sandwiches, salads, etc. So hopefully to cater to some of the folks, young professionals, the younger folks that we have in this neighborhood, and get away from the Italian that we have in the neighborhood. So with that said, prepared to answer any questions the board may have.
Not the most important question, just out of curiosity. Any particular plan to distinguish your cuisine from Newnc? If I pronounced that correctly, if I didn't, I'm sorry. That's already established on the street.
I really haven't looked at his menu.
Okay.
I did go once. Ours is gonna be pretty basic. Nothing, nothing different than you would get at most places. We'll definitely have some specials, but no, I can't answer it because I really haven't looked at his menu.
Okay. Just curious.
Marie and I were talking, where are we supposed to go for brunch now?
It's still gonna have brunch.
All right, excellent.
We're going to keep the brunch, and that menu probably is gonna be the same, more or less. We might change the names of the product, but it's gonna be the same product.
Can you just specify what kind of license it is and what the closing hours is?
The closing hour on the license is midnight. We're going to keep the same closing hour. We didn't ask for a change. It's a transfer of a license from I think it's Ferrara's Kitchen and Bar to the Urban Cantina Inc. So it's just a straight transfer.
It's a full out or?
No, it's a beer and wine with cordials.
Okay.
Signage, what is it, anything neon?
No, we talked to Frank, no neon. The signage, I think it's gonna be, was it red and,
I think there's gonna be an orangey yellow and a red.
It sounds pretty neon to me.
well, neon is neon, I don't know if it is,
I
but.
mean, we haven't ordered anything, I mean, we're throwing some things around, but it's not gonna be,
Could you
bright.
probably give me a call and just, so I could go over and see it before you order it?
Sure.
Is it the same kind of lettering, like the letters?
It's gonna be the block lettering that's on the wall.
The lights behind it?
Right now, Ferraris is kind of cursive.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a little bit more.
No, but the same style, it's gonna be like with the
Same-
backlighting?
Exactly, yeah, same style, exact same style.
And how can you get in touch with you?
Just, actually, if you want to email the board.
Okay.
Just, and Bill will.
Any other questions from the council? What about for the general public? Do you have any questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to support petition to transfer VR1 license from Ferrara's
Kitchen and Bar.
Kitchen and Bar to
Urban Cantina.
Urban Cantina with the same hours of operation.
I'll second.
Second? All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Okay.
Mr. President, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
106 Prince Street.
My name is Bill Ferrolo. I'm here representing Matt Donahue and 106 Prince Street LLC. What I've given you is a couple of documents, one that shows two plans. One plan, the left-hand side, is a plan of the existing first floor. The right-hand side is the proposed first floor. And the attachment behind it is a photograph of the building, so you can kind of understand what we're talking about. The background to this is that the building was purchased within the last year. At the time it was purchased, they went into ISD and discovered that there was no building jack, no record of legal occupancy. What you do with that is you apply to what's called the occupancy board for determination of what they believe the legal occupancy of the building to be. When that was done, the determination was made that it was likely constructed as an 8-unit building. And when you look at that photograph, you'll see what we mean is the units line up as you see in the diagram on the plan. 2 units per floor, a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom unit separated by a hallway that goes up and down the building. What apparently took place was on the first floor, the owners at some point in time broke through to make the owner's unit the entire first floor. So if you look at the existing drawing on the left, you'll see there's a number of living rooms as they're labeled within the plan. When that was determined, Matt applied to change this back to its original use as a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom apartment. Size-wise, they're about 650 square feet for the 1-bedroom, excuse me, and about 800 some odd square feet, 840 or 50 square feet for the 2-bedroom. Conceptually as well, we think it's a plus to go back to the 2 units rather than having a large 3 or 4-bedroom apartment on the first floor, which instead of having individual occupancy as 1 and a 2, you'd have a large group of people living in 1 unit. The request is simply that, is that we go back to 8 units instead of 7 in the building, and that it's configured exactly the way it had been originally as a 1-bedroom apartment on one side and a 2-bedroom on the other side. That's about it.
Any questions from the board?
Are you selling these units or renting?
No, we're right.
Be fully sprinkled and,
Yes,
Yeah, the building's being done over completely.
building's completely got it right now.
what's the timeframe, like when do you think you'll be done?
Depending on the permitting, meaning our permitting for this is scheduled to go to the zoning board of appeal on the 22nd of the month, the week after this. And then, as I explained to Matt today, the natural process of that is about a 2-month period, which takes processing and what they call the 20-day wait period before you can get a permit to complete the first floor. They can work on the other units other than the first floor, but the first floor probably won't start won't be finished for 2 to 3 months after the permit will kick in about 2 months. The work will be completed after that.
That issue aside, we plan to be done around June. If we didn't have to wait for 50 days or so.
Any questions from the audience? Pretty easy group tonight. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to support 106 Prince Street LLC, the owner of the property at that address, 106 Prince Street, has applied to the Inspectional Services Department to change the occupancy from 7 residential units to 8 residential units with a ZBA hearing date of next Tuesday, April 22nd. I do vote to support this application.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
No.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Ida's Restaurant, Aqua, 1 to 4 Mechanic Court.
To repeat, Bill Ferrolo here, representing the DiPasquale family. Frank DiPasquale Ventures, his daughter Gianna DiPasquale is sitting at the table. We were here before you 6 months or so ago when Frank purchased the business and the properties that belonged to the Bruno family, who operated Ida's Restaurant for 62 years, which was located in the first alley off Hannah Street called Mechanic Street, and then leading to, in the back, Mechanics Court. To explain the process that took place back then, and also about the property, was because the Brunos had closed the restaurant, and because it was at the end of the calendar year, an application to transfer the liquor license had to be filed so that it's a beer, wine, and cordial license, so that the license wasn't revoked for non-renewal or non-operation. We came to you, we explained the plan, which you ultimately approved. So if you look at the plans that we gave you, what we showed you that time is this first plan, showing the interior of a rather small restaurant that had 26 seats, and these 2 little bathrooms, and our proposal to put 48 seats on a patio, what we call a garden patio, in the rear. We stated at that time we had not filed our building permit plans because of the fact we hadn't drawn building permit plans for the rest of the building. The building has apartments above the restaurant, plus apartments in the building next to it, all of which are being renovated. When that took place, the building department determined that these 2 very little bathrooms were both insufficient for the restaurant itself and were not handicapped accessible, and there were questions of handicapped accessibility in the restaurant itself. As a result of that, they requested that we construct handicapped bathrooms in order to accommodate the restaurant regardless of size, because once you do a renovation other than a minor renovation, you have to comply with the handicapped accessibility requirements, which require not only the restaurant to be accessible, but the bathrooms as well. When you look at what I have here is the lower plan, which is the second plan that you have, what this is showing is this apartment that was at the rear in our original plan. And the significance of showing it to you like this is, what you can see is literally half of that apartment is taken up by handicap bathrooms. In order to accommodate the size of the bathrooms, it having 3 bathrooms now instead of 2, it literally takes up half that unit. If in fact we were to put those in the existing restaurant space, if you just took that and put it here, you'd have no seats in the restaurant. There'd be no place to actually have seats as opposed to just having bathrooms. So we are here proposing to change the request that we have in front of you is a request to change occupancy of the residential unit from a residential unit to a restaurant use. You will see from the other documents that I gave you from the zoning board and the building department is that's a conditional use because this building, although located in the alley behind Hanover Street, is considered in the same zoning district as Hanover Street, making that use on the ground floor conditional, not a forbidden use or a variance. So when we drew this, what you'll see is this now would be where the existing restaurant is here. This is the staircase that divides the building. And this is that residential unit where the back half are the bathrooms and the front half allows for 22 additional seats to use the rest of the space that's in the unit. That's a proposal that we will be taking to the Zoning Board of Appeal to remind you what we had been approved for by not only the local boards, but the zoning board and the licensing board approved the 26 seats on the interior and the 48 seats. The only difference now with the outdoor seating is it's going to be spread out more so that it's not as close together here. So it will spread out more into the back area and make it a little bit more open and a little bit more garden-like. So our request is that you approve a conditional use change for this former residential unit to be allowed so that we can make the restaurant both handicapped accessible and have handicapped accessible bathrooms.
Thank you. Any questions? Just for the record, we did a walkthrough today, 5:30, to take a look at the space ourselves. Anybody in the audience have any questions?
I'll make a motion to support the additional 22 seats on the indoors and to allow for the bathroom and handicap accessibility. Anybody want a second?
A second.
Is that a second?
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Responsible urbanites and Fido.
From Rough, Amy Hand. I think everyone's kind of seen the maps online before, but take another browse if you'd like. We wanted to make an official presentation to Newnc because we've been around to most of the other organizations, all of the politicians, all, our representatives. And what we are working for is the dog park and improving the neighborhood. There's a major need for that. So right now we have put together a proposal for parcel 12, which is located on the Greenway. It's owned by the Mass Department of Transportation. It is next to the Armenian Heritage Park heading towards Faneuil Hall, if you're not familiar with the location. It's a pretty long, narrow piece. It's currently completely unoccupied. This would be a major process because this space was previously slated for the museum building. So it's not a parks parcel, but we at Ruff believe that with all of the construction coming to our neighborhood in the future, that bringing a parks piece and making, you know, it legally a parks parcel would benefit the neighborhood more greatly than building on this piece of land. We wanted to sort of give everyone an update of what we've been working on the past couple of months and where we are so far, and then we'll close out and hopefully we'll get some feedback and have a bit of a discussion where all of you guys are living on this. So turn over to Amy.
My name's Amy, and just to give you an update of what, since the last time we met officially, which was in November, December, Leslie and I did do a kind of a dog and pony show around the neighborhood explaining our mission, what our proposal's all about. We met with the Greenway Conservancy, we met with DOT, we met with a lot of the community groups and local politicians. We got a lot of feedback from neighbors and dog owners and non-dog owners, which kind of helped us shape our proposal and hopefully accurately reflects what the neighborhood wants. And so as a result of that, we did a lot of community outreach. We went to the dog parks, we spoke with people, we tried to see what the word on the street was from people. We also pushed out petitions for signatures from folks online and on paper. We left them at stores. We did a walk and talk and try to educate dog owners out there where to be hanging out, where not to, just kind of doing our usual spiel within the organization. We also spoke with other dog organizations, Somerville Dog, and we are looking at some other community city-wide dog programs to speak with. So Brookline Green Dog is another program that's pretty successful. In short, the response that we heard is that there's a need and a desire for a dog park. There's just too many dogs running amok in places where they shouldn't be. They need to get off Christopher Columbus, they need to get off the ballpark, the baseball fields. I think we do a pretty good job at policing what we can, but obviously our reach is only so far because there's a limited number of us, and unfortunately we're not animal control, so we can't instill any fines with these folks. So some of the information we heard back was that Richmond is a success. People are really proud to see how clean we've kept it. They always see somebody sweeping, cleaning up. A gentleman who lives on Fulton Street has taken it upon himself to put up signs to go in and rake the rocks, and I have seen other folks out there sweeping. Unfortunately, some of the North End is a highly transient population with commuters and college kids, and that's our hardest target audience to educate. So a lot of folks said, we thought Christopher Columbus was a dog park. I said, it's not. That's not where you should be going, and we do our part, but having parcel 12 as a designated dog area will help leverage getting those dogs off of there. At least gives the folks in that area an avenue to send dogs that are on the fields. We also know that there's a lot of tot lot use for dogs because they are fenced in. We do not advocate this. It's a huge no-no, and we do struggle with this. We can't stand seeing dogs in tot lots of any nature. It's not acceptable, it's not right, and unfortunately it does happen. So that does reiterate the need for some sort of fenced-in area that's bigger than Richmond, because we have overgrown Richmond. I was at Richmond probably about a month or two ago and noticed that people were leaving, and I said, oh, you're leaving for the day, going home? And they said, no, it's too crowded here, we're going down to Christopher Columbus, which is so infuriating because it kind of goes against what we're doing. And so people are using Richmond, but if it's too crowded, then they'll just filter down the street. So I think that the long story short is there are just too many dogs, the number of dogs are growing, and there's really no place to take them. So that's why we're here to advocate for parcel 12.
Exactly. So just sort of in closing, we are hoping to bring a dedicated, off-leash, safe, legal dog park to the North End. Right now, looking at parcel 12, your support and the community support, the neighborhood support is the only way this can move forward. Ruff does not want to bring a dog park to the North End if the North End does not want a dog park. It's our overwhelming, what we're hearing is that there's a need and there is support. So we feel pretty strongly that this is a positive, and we would like to, continue to move forward with that through our meetings, like with the Greenway and with the Department of Transportation. We do understand that there will be a public process for this. I'm sure other people have great ideas for the space as well. But currently, I walk by there twice a day to and from work, and there's not one single human, animal, nothing. only, tumbleweed or trash rolling in the wind. And then I walk past Christopher Columbus Park and there's like 20 dogs. So I don't know. Space is going unused and we would love to use it, and we would be 100% funded on our own. We're not asking, the state or anybody, besides fundraising efforts for money.
And just to make it clear, what we're doing at this point is just asking for a proposal for a pilot. We're not asking for a long-term dog park. A pilot would be to set a agreed upon time frame of how long do we want to see if this is a success. If after that point we've met those criteria, then maybe look at a long-term dog park, but this is just simply for a pilot.
Actually, a question. Has the thought come across, perhaps, since the parks are owned by all of us citizens in the city, of having a small parcel of the park allocated for dogs in different areas, instead of just saying that we're not all going to take a dog? I own dogs. We're all going to take our dogs to the same place. We do use Richmond. People take their dogs at different times and stuff like that. But I don't understand how is it that we're going to decide through having a dog park that we're not going to be able to take our dogs anywhere else, whereas other big cities, other modern cities, New York City comes up as an example, which is a ton of dogs. They all have a small parcel that's fenced in. The idea of what's going on at Richmond Street, where people are going to take their dog, and you can actually go to the park with other people that go to the park, and you can take your dog to the spot that's designated there.
Yeah, that's a great point. We're never going to have a huge dog park. Having a few smaller ones is obviously ideal, because the other issue is maybe you have some older person down at the end of Prince Street. How are they going to get all the way down and actually make use of this parking course as well? Well, you want to, if you had a few smaller ones spread out through the area, then you shuttle people out to each little parcel.
Well, but I think my point is that, again, we all contribute with our tax dollars to all the parks.
So we
and what percentage of the population owns dogs?
We don't disagree with you, we actually very much agree with you, but the pushback on that is so phenomenal. Dogs are not popular. I'm not sure if you knew, so it's very different. Like, even with Christopher Columbus, it would make sense maybe to, do a small little, maybe that would solve the problem instead of needing a whole big parcel. But that would.
The issue that we ran into is we had 12 different parcels of land throughout the north end that we identified and said, what about this? What about this? And we went to Commissioner Pollack at the time and a few groups. And our biggest challenge was that each parcel was owned by a different group. So we had to just say, we need to just pick one spot and start there. And if this doesn't succeed, then we can look at other parcels of land and maybe get the ball rolling. So we ended up ultimately starting with Richmond. And now we're starting the process to roll.
No, I just find that historically we have shared the use of parks throughout our history. It's not the first time that people take their dogs out for a walk.
Right.
And I just cannot believe that we can say that we're going to dedicate an entire park to a playground for children and green ornamental space without allocating a spot for those taxpayers who also contribute, who have a pet. That's simple.
In other cities and towns, we've done a plethora of research, and like most of the parks are multi-use. Is it Brookline?
Brookline has a great
Brookline,
the
sort of
baseball
like
field and
turns
a dog
over.
park.
Yeah, they're baseball.
I think that the argument to be made there that a park that's well attended is a safer park. Having a place where to take your dog keeps from you offending others from having your dog where it's not supposed to be, which is a new thing too, because this is the first I heard that parks have designated uses. They're open green spaces to be used by taxpayers. So
The problem is the off-leash is illegal, taking your dog off-leash and letting him run and to chase the ball, where your dog needs exercise and the dog is fun, your kids are playing with him, however it works, but that's the illegal aspect of him playing on a public use park. Bringing your dog to a park that, is for baseball is fine, if you're there for baseball purposes, but the second you let your dog off the leash and let him run around, or God forbid he pees on something near, then that's where.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying again, it's still, there should be a facility in these parks. The reason why there are green spaces are to accommodate the people around those green spaces. And we have them throughout our neighborhood. We have the Prado, Polivier's Prado, we have Columbus Park, we have the waterfront, we have Stillman Park, we have the Flags here at Degassi. But those parks serve the community around them. For somebody who lives on Commercial Street to walk all the way to the central area to walk their dog, they're likely because the dog's gonna pee somewhere else along the way, because he's not gonna, you know.
It's
hold it
more
for 10 blocks.
recreational, you know what I mean?
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but recreational is, I think recreational is a great idea, but I think you also need to think about the fact that we do need to keep in mind that this is a city of taxpayers and neighbors, and we should, since we all contribute to the upkeep of this green space, there should be a small fenced-in area where you can take a dog to pee or poop, and then you can walk around with a dog in the park. You can take a dog to see the edge, so you should be able to walk around with a dog to the park after the dog has voided, and that is business what is supposed to be done. At the same time, that I do believe that by not putting proper signage in parks of what to do with your dog poop, you know, and where to put it, you know what I mean? And whether or not there's a fine, it doesn't really serve any of us, because people go out, they walk their dog, and there's no sign that says to pick it up, so why am I gonna pick it up? You know, and it is, you know, it's offensive, you know, they do it on the sidewalk, they don't go to the park, that's another one too, you gotta take a dog out with time, you can't take a dog out when it's just the last minute. The dogs are doing their business in front of businesses, in front of people's homes, and people are not picking up. So as important as this is, I think that, you know, as a dog owner, we always have baggies on our leash and we always pick up, but we should try to get the rest of the dog owners in the neighborhood to do their due diligence when it comes to taking their dogs out. And maybe we should request from the city to have the meter maids that are walking around our neighborhoods and stuff like that, maybe ticket those people and start teaching them a lesson, because putting a park for dogs is not going to change the fact that there is, you know, feces on the street.
There's two particular parks that we were wondering about. I mean, I think you guys should be commended for what you're trying to do. I think, like George said, the need for this is great, especially in the north end, and we want to see it happen. I'm not sure, because of the Greenway, because of, you know, the questionable legal ownership of a lot of the parcels and all that, and not to mention the fact that it's a multi-billion-dollar project that, you know, crippled the city for 20 years, and I'm not sure if people want to see something like that, a dog park there. What two parks that I've heard a lot of people talking about are Silman Park. Are you familiar with that one? Mm-hmm. And the flights in the Gassy.
Yep.
Can you talk specifically about those two and what kind of hurdles you saw there?
It's actually kind of funny you bring it up, because the two of us have we kind of battle on the, you know, not battle, but we have kind of opposing opinions. I think the Gassy space is great, but as a responsible dog owner, not gonna get me to go there. Like, it's unsafe. I think that the stigma around it would have to be changed before we put money into that space.
What do you mean it's unsafe?
Would you walk there?
Physically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in this neighborhood.
Oh, no, I mean, you can't walk through there. We've done cleanups there. You basically need a hazmat suit to get through there. There's dog piles everywhere. On top of that, there's underage drinking. That one night, Amy was so uncomfortable that she texted me because she was nervous walking through that park. There's drug activity in the evening. It's, you know, I mean, responsible dog owners don't go there currently because of the activities that go there. So
Well,
if you...
I think what our idea would be is that
To fix that.
the light
Absolutely,
and the
but
attention would push some of that up.
And that's why, like, when we send around these, we would sort of do the same thing with that space. But the stigma would have to change first. We would need help before we, as a group, would be able to raise money, put money into a space. If people feel uncomfortable going there, they're not really going to be believing that this space could be cleaned up and be something that it isn't.
If it's a dog park, though, maybe the junkies and the other people
Right,
would
and that's
feel
where I
uncomfortable.
kind of stand, is once you bring wherever there's dog owners,
Yeah.
for especially the problem that dogs cause, you push whoever's in there out.
Yeah.
And, you know, where there's junkies hanging out, they're not gonna hang out there, because there's always somebody coming in with a dog at
Yeah.
any
And
point.
so that was our thought. It would be a great service to the neighborhood.
Yep.
And it would help you in the short term, because this is a very long-term project. I mean,
Right.
you're probably 4 years out on this, right? But in the meantime, the need is here and it's growing. So why not try to put some effort into some of the smaller parks that are dotted in the neighborhood that will alleviate the Richmond Street overcrowding situation temporarily?
Our biggest concern, and the primary reason why we didn't pursue that first, is because of abutters. And at the time, we were just getting started, and abutters were our biggest voice that we were hearing of people saying, I don't want a dog park next to my house. And right in the gassy area by the flights, there were enough butters that we said, okay, maybe now's not the time. Doesn't mean we can't revisit it, but at that time when we thought about it,
Really, the butters there because you're surrounded on two sides by a garage and a park. There shouldn't be that many.
right, and this came out of our meetings with Commission and Policy.
Yeah.
So we were dissuaded at that time, but it's still on our radar.
What about
It's not
Stillman?
something that we've ruled out.
Stillman is a park that kind of has the same problems in terms of.
Yep.
Have you
It's
thought
kind of
about
dark and it's back there, but if you build the right kind of dog park, you can attract people. And actually, there's a lot of beautiful dog parks that brighten up areas.
There's a lot of small places that we actually do have on our list. It was actually kind of fascinating to do the research to see all the places that would be possible. I mean, in our proposal, you can see some pictures of some parks in New York that are so narrow, maybe perhaps the width of this room, and they, sort of just fence it in, and it's between two buildings. It's concrete, it's between two buildings. And it serves its purpose. It's pretty amazing what people can work with, but at the same time, there's so many rules and stipulations that work in our neighborhood specifically abutters. The abutters are a huge hurdle in bringing a dog park here. So that's always been a major concern of ours. Another space that we have looked at is sort of behind the rink. There's a small strip behind the rink that's pretty good, but with the school going in, we sort of got negative feedback on that, so.
But if it's fenced in, it shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, sure, if you want to voice your support.
I think that the issue is, again, the same issue. Nobody wants to take responsibility for the fact that within reality, we are a neighborhood of people with different tastes on what do we keep at home. Some of us keep pets. And again, we all pay taxes. And I just find it laughable that the city of Boston builds parks without facilities for dogs. And they expand the city without parking. You know what I mean? And that's an issue. And we have the same issue with parking. I mean, we just added a bunch of green space to the neighborhood with the greenway after the completion of the central artery. And nowhere along the line was there any thought for a place where dogs can go to the bathroom. There was a lot of thought on how little green space we were going to get, how many buildings were going to be developed there, how many people we're going to house, how many of those people, what's the percentage of people that actually own dogs? I'm sure there's a percentage, it's 20%, 30%. We're adding a bunch of units to our neighborhood right at the edge between the north end and the west end. Where are those people going to take their dogs to the bathroom? It's a trend. People like to live with the companionship of animals. There's nothing wrong with it. It's healthy. But again, we have a bunch of irresponsible people that won't pick up after them. I walk my dog and you're gonna walk up with a flashlight because she says like a minefield. And again, we don't have the proper signage in parks, which I think will be very helpful. I think that the addition of a dog park where dogs can run around is a great thing. I don't think you're gonna get away from the fact that people need to walk their dogs close to their homes. And you do need, on these parks, I mean, it doesn't take much space to be able to have a dog go on Floyd. They do go where other dogs go. So they like to mark the territory, that's what they're doing, they're going to check out where it's happening, and they go to the bathroom, they know where the bathroom is. So if we put little bathrooms in parks, the dogs will go there. And people can then walk to the park with the dog after the dog has gone to the bathroom.
What were some of the other areas that you've got? I know you said Stillman and the flights, were there other areas?
Well, I think those are the two big ones. And I know your kind of thought is that they're unattractive, but the parks that are attractive, I don't think a lot of people would want to see them turn into parks. I mean, dog parks. So I think you kind of have to change what you're looking at a little bit.
We actually look at the most unattractive spaces. So parcel 12 is not an attractive space. There's not a single person on there. There's no butters. That's why we were attracted to this piece.
Okay.
When it came up, when it flipped over, and there's no use to it at this present moment, that was sort of what we do. We're a dog group where we go with an opportunity and we run with it and we put as much effort into that as possible. The flights were, like Amy said, they were the top one on our list when we first started going over a year ago. But getting dog owners to give money to support something that would be 100% fully funded by our group is going to take a lot. Our city would need to come in and kind of clean up the crime and what goes on there before you know,
I
people.
think you should revisit the idea, because I think that you'd be surprised now for the publicity that Rough has gotten, and, you know, your efforts have been very sincere. I think that, you know, I think this idea might actually catch fire this time, honestly. I think that people are very tired of stepping over poop in the middle of the sidewalk, and I think that the necessity of having areas dotted in this neighborhood is very important. I think that you will be very well received this time around. And I think that you probably can get the cooperation of the police department, you know, to try and help you clean up, and then the city, who, I mean, it's just an eyesore, it's just a, really, nobody's using it, so I would revisit.
The other part of it is the evidence shows it's being used for dog bathrooms already.
It is a
So
dog park
because there's
already.
plenty of poop there. So again, the evidence shows that Stillman Park is being used as a dog bathroom. The flights are being used because, as you said earlier, there is excrement everywhere. So the fact that it's being used, it means that there is actual people who are walking there to whom it's more convenient. If we can tie something up, I mean, again, I don't find that it's Ralph's responsibility to put dog parks in the neighborhood. I think it should be the responsibility of our city government to come to terms. If you take a little survey of your parks and you find that there is dog excrement everywhere, you need to do something about it. So I think that the flights is being used for a bathroom already. The park, people are walking their dogs there. We're walking our dogs in every park. People are walking their dogs outside over here, the little bushes that are on the side of the street. So, reality, fencing in a small area in some of these places wouldn't be a terrible thing, you know. I mean, maybe that's something that the city needs to start thinking about to help you out with that, and you guys can concentrate perhaps more on the recreation of our pets and less of the,
You
you know,
mentioned
needs.
your fundraising, like, what, do you have a sense of how much you think you could raise for something like this?
Well, we were making our estimates based on the pilot program, and then we had some thought and feedback into the long-term program.
Most dog parks are between $200,000 and $500,000. Lighting, drainage, you know, waste, there's water, I mean,
Waste disposal.
yeah. There's a lot of interesting groups that get involved and do innovative things to help with all that, but that would be down the line.
Is there concern, I'm sorry, is there concern with the parcel 12, there's been certain legislation, they're trying to cover it within a year? Is there concern on your end that that's gonna impact or impede progress on that parcel too, or?
So that's what I sort of briefly touched upon in the beginning, is that it's currently designated for building. So
Right.
if a pilot were to progress to something permanent, legislation would have to be changed before. I personally hope that they don't ever build on those parcels, whether it's a dog park or a human park. I think that there should be no building there. I think we have enough buildings. So I hope that they do try to turn that over down the line
I
in
don't know if
favor
it's-
of rough or not.
I don't know if
but-
it's building except like cover, so there's like a little bit ambiguity as to what that word means.
The covered aspect, I think, I mean, when we met with the Department of Transportation just 2 weeks ago, and they still don't even really know what the time frame is, what's going to happen, how it's going to work,
Right.
what's going to go, you know, but those two parcels, or that parcel is designated as a building parcel, not as a parks parcel. But that's obviously something that can change depending on what the neighborhood wants. And
Right.
I personally think that the neighborhood should have the say in making that change.
Because the other thing is too, I think a lot of it is, I don't think it will ever be a quote unquote pilot. I think that once you have it there and it's noted as that, it's just gonna turn into that anyway, and I think, you know what I mean, like, I don't know if there's any been discussion about that in terms of.
I think we mostly use the word pilot because we don't know if people will go. Like, you know, when you say, oh, well, if someone's at the end of Prince, are they going to make it all the way to, parcel 12? And you don't really know. Is it going to be great for Columbus Park? Sure. Definitely. Oh, you can at least adapt. I mean, we mostly talk with animal control who can then do their job more effectively. But, I mean, we don't know. Is it going to take people off of the ball fields? And if it doesn't and it gets no traction, there's no point in us raising money to put in all of those things that we talked about that are necessary. So that's sort of the term pilot is used because we're not sure if it would even take off.
You know, speaking of parcels, to take the dog owners off of the ball fields. On, is it Foster Street? There's that open parking lot that's actually city land, I think. Maybe a strip in there that people that sort of.
Street that's designated for residential parking.
Parking, because
Oh,
everybody
it is?
uses that for parking.
About the parking lot coming up on, is that
From
NASDAQ?
the
Can they
pool.
give us that?
That's-
No, on this side, by Hanover, by the meters, on right across from parcel 10, where it's the city workers.
Oh, okay. Well, can I say something? There was a woman here at another meeting, we won't mention her name, represented the park department. She clearly stated that the park department has no authority to give any money for a dog facility. They could give you a piece of land, and you would have to run it privately. So just so you know that.
Everything
Well,
that-
but
Well, I
again,
just wanted to
no, but that's
make
again,
sure.
but.
That doesn't mean it shouldn't
No, I
be done.
understand, but what I'm saying again is, the city is financed by taxpayers. Taxpayers own dogs. Taxpayers' money is used for parks, all right? So, we should take some of the taxpayers' money and put a fence around some gravel and upkeep. I mean,
We'll
that's
take
a
it.
reality. I mean,
We'll take it.
either that or we share them, and we all use them together, and we live with the poop. We live with the seagull poop, we live with the pigeon poop, we live with the rat poop.
Your point of view is well taken, George, but I'm trying to tell you that they won't give you any money.
I understand, but that's something that the city should rethink.
One more agenda item that we have to get to. I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing, and please, let's continue the conversation. I think it's definitely worthwhile, and I think, you have a lot of supporters here for the need of it, and for the work you're doing to regulate the hurting of the dog owners is, I'm sure, not very easy.
And if you guys do have other ideas on spaces, please email us, if there's a consensus amongst, your group or, different parts of the neighborhood, that's important for us to hear, We don't want to always get everybody here, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight. As I said, I'm opening at 42 Prince Street, interior design construction, residential and commercial, dual design showroom. We do everything from colors to fabrics, custom draperies, it's going to be a really, really pretty showroom. I was delighted to get a space in the North End because my family grew up in the North End, and my husband's family is still in the North End, so when something came up, it was very exciting. And I don't want dates getting late, so I don't keep everyone, but that's the gist of what I'm doing. Opening hopefully, the first week in June.
This week in June?
Excuse me, yes, first week in June. Yeah, we'll have a grand opening, bring it to committee. Very excited, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the North End. I think it's going to offer a lot for everyone. It's a really pretty shop. The store right now it's terrible. It's all boarded up, so it's bringing it right up. So I think it's going to be great for Prince Street and great for everyone here. So, okay, so I'm excited to get into the community and do some nice things. Okay, thank you.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Good luck. That's it. Meeting adjourned.
I know.